Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Terrence Jones. I'm the Director of Academic Enrichment at Pierce College and the founding director of the Center for Male Engagement at our institution. And I'm excited today. I am super excited. I am extraordinarily excited to introduce this phenomenal collective that we have today, which are men who are leaders in the city of Philadelphia, the surrounding areas, that have come together to be a part of this podcast conversation around the exceptionalism that is within the black men of this area, of this region, and what's possible as we come up as emerging leaders, as existing leaders in this community. So let's start off with just putting our hands together for ourselves for coming together for this space. There's so many phenomenal people in the room, so much stuff to talk about that I really want to dive in. But if we have the green light, I kind of just want to go around the room and just hear who everybody is, what you do, and then we'll jump right into the conversation. If you with it, then say yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If you with it, say oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. We got the right room. What you think, Abu?
I like it, man. I love it.
Cool. So let's start over here. Since I already introduced myself, and we'll go around and we'll start with a snake action all the way to Kyle. So.
My name is Abu Edwards. I serve as the Executive Director for the Mayor's Office of Black Male Engagement, and I also serve as the Executive Director for the Mayor's Commission on African American Males for the City of Philadelphia. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Jonathan Jacobs. I'm the CEO and Managing Partner of the Ethos Grooming Station for Men, men's grooming company designed to bring a distinguished grooming experience to metropolitan gentlemen. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vince Cooper. I'm co-founder of Access Purpose, where I do leadership development consulting.
I'm Nathaniel McCoy. I work in elections for the city of Philadelphia. It's a pleasure to be here. Again.
My name is David Buck, GBI case manager for the Office of Public Safety, also safety chair for the Commission of African American Males for the city of Philadelphia.
My name is Leonard Bentley. I'm from the Nerney Family Foundation / Philadelphia Career Pathways, and I am the Director of Career Training and Outreach.
My name is Douglas Reed. I am a retired, but I'm also the CEO of Ruwak Enterprise, which is a men and women empowerment, and also a nonprofit community reform around reentry simulations.
Good morning, George Morris. Serve as the Vice Captain with the Black Men Run Philadelphia chapter. Also serve as a law enforcement professional with the City of Philadelphia.
What's up? John McNeil, co-founder of production company Soul Surplus, and now label manager at tech company Splice.
I'm Kyle Glover. I'm the owner-operator of Glover Media, and I'm also the president of Project Angel Community Development Corporation.
Nice. So we have a room of rich talent, of distinguished gentlemen, and I think this conversation today is going to be really rich and rewarding for me. I'm looking forward to the conversation. But I kind of want to start off. We're coming out of the Olympics, and I don't know if any of you guys got to see the USA basketball gold medal game, but that boy Steph Curry, he went off. He went off in a crazy way, saved the day.
Yes, he did.
And of course, USA got the gold. I don't think anybody was expecting USA not to get the gold, but the level of opposition that they faced was much more than anybody expected that they would. I know I didn't expect France to be up there like that, the way that they showed out. But they played with passion. They played, I'm talking about France. They played with tenacity. They played with grit. They played with skill. It was not amateur hour by any means. No. And they needed Steph to show up on a level that he did. And I'm bringing it up mostly because there was a conversation that Stephen A. Smith made afterward, where he said that Steph Curry is now the best guard in NBA history, even over Magic.
Guard or shooter?
that's where some of the conversation gets a little murky. But I kind of want us to open up on that talk, like seeing the types of things that we've seen from Steph Curry. It's easy to normalize the greatness when it's before you, right?
Yeah.
But is there a mark that we could say that Steph Curry is the greatest guard of all time? Or
He's the greatest shooter of all time. In my opinion.
okay.
Overall guard, nah. Michael Jordan to me is the greatest guard that ever played.
I can agree with that.
Off guard. And then point guard, I'd probably say Magic Johnson.
Now, interestingly enough, and I mean, I want to get y'all thoughts on this, but I've heard Michael Jordan's conversation from the standpoint of player of all time.
Yeah.
But whenever we talk about guards, I think other names end up being in the conversation when you talk about all time. Not that he's not, he played guard. Like he was not an all-around player like LeBron or, other guys. He only played the two, sometimes the one.
Yeah.
But typically we talk about him as the player of all time in that conversation. Where do we put Curry when it comes to, let's just talk about like prolific guards, like the Magics, the Isaiahs, and we're talking about different generations too, so that even makes it tougher. They didn't play in the same time frame. What are y'all thoughts?
I think personally, I'm not a Steph Curry fan. I want to say that before. I'm not a Steph Curry fan. But I think he gets a lot of discredit because he's playing at the same time as LeBron. And I do think he's the greatest guard, but I also grew up in the old school, where my dad taught me the fundamentals of basketball. So the way the point guards play now is not really the same way they used to play.
Yeah.
So they're more of a combo now.
Yeah.
But I would still say Steph is probably the most prolific one that I've seen.
Yeah.
But I also think about you got to be two-sided, right? To be the best guard, you got to defend as well, right? So that's where the liability comes in. So I'm going to sit here and ponder more on an overall guard, right, who can defend and score that I've seen in my, and even going back some different generations. But I just think you need to be complete. You need to be complete on both sides of the field. I mean, on both sides of the court to be, the greatest.
Yeah, I echo the same sentiments. I think he's leading the charge for his era and his generation. He's more of a slasher, catch and shoot guy, and I know in the late 90s, early 2000s, we seen that with Reggie Miller. But we in the city of Philadelphia, so my Mount Rushmore guard is always going to be start off with Allen Iverson. But much respect to Curry. He definitely holding it down for us right now.
I think. So I was going to say, I think Curry and Magic are more alike than people realize, in the sense that both changed the game for how a point guard should be seen. You have Magic, like the first time you see a big guard just dominate, and now that is exactly the standard in the NBA. You have Curry coming in shooting from half court, now that's the standard. So it's kind of like they're more alike in that talk. Obviously, I'm going to go Magic just with the body of work, but I mean what Curry's doing right now is unprecedented, and when it all ends, he probably will be in top 5. I think, but it's not done yet.
I think a big part of that goes in what we said initially, what we saw, what we seen. Now, when we talk about those older guards, we didn't see those guards because of technology. We didn't see all these highlights of these games. We're seeing highlights of Steph Curry. Back in the day, you didn't have access to the NBA on every channel on your phone. So that changes the game. But as you guys stated before, I'm an old Magic Johnson. Who didn't really have a three-point shot.
But he was a floor general, right? So when I think about the greatest guard of all time, I think about somebody who can run a team. Right? From that aspect of it to where you can, hey, I need you to go over here, I need you to do this. That's that coach on the floor. Magic was that. Like that was him. That's what made LeBron so great, because that's LeBron as well. Right? To be able to distribute and tell everyone what to do on the floor as that player coach. Steph, greatest shooter, that's not part of his game.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna be honest in a lot of ways here. Magic to me is probably one of the best players to play the game. But what makes Steph and Magic so similar is the fact that they are both leaders. Now, obviously Steph leads in a different way because he can score. Pure point guard should be able to score and create points on the board just like Magic did. But Magic came in 19 and helped win a championship, right? Took over for Kareem, who was out injured, and he won the game. So
Against us.
yeah, right. So you got different eras, different men in a lot of ways, but the fact that they're leaders and they're able to lead their team to the goal, I think, is such a huge plus for both of them. I'm not going to put one above the other, but I love them both. But yeah, Steph he's a true talent and an inspiration in a lot of ways. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's super dope. I also, when I think about that conversation about the intergenerational talent through the NBA, we don't really see the spotlight on how the game has evolved. We kind of put person versus person without really giving context to it, right? Because to your point, Brother Doug, I saw a video. This is a side collaborative conversation, but I'm gonna go a little bit over to the gymnastics side. And they showed some videos of like the types of gymnastics that folks were doing in the 1970s, and it was ridiculous, like phenomenal. But it's ridiculous because half the stuff that they were doing then, it's ruled out as you're not able to do it anymore. It's because it was so unsafe. And it doesn't mean that the players, the gymnasts today aren't capable of doing what they were doing then. But as the game, as the sport has evolved, certain things that were crucial or critical to being relevant then just doesn't work now based on the boundaries that are set, right? Because I think that conversation even goes when we keep talking about Curry, is that there's folks who said that Curry would never make it in the old league because when he comes to the hole, we gonna put our bodies on him. And he don't know what it is to feel a body. But he didn't have to feel a body because the league has changed.
Well, this is where I'm gonna come in and say this is what makes Curry so special. He's 6'4". He's small, and he's not athletic. So what did he do? He figured out how to change the game. He opened the game up so much for basketball. It's ridiculous. Right? And he's given a lot of young men the opportunity now to go into the league and do some of the very similar things. You look at Trae Young. There's no way Trae Young would be able to survive in the league without that kind of basketball. So what Steph has done is he said, okay, I can't be the Michael Jordan or the LeBron James, but I can be Steph Curry. And here's where I can live, and I'm going to make that work. And he's done it to the best ability. I think this is what really makes him so special is that he's created this new way of playing the game and that the old folks don't understand, but he's smart enough that he created it, and now it's the way the game is played now. So that's what makes Steph so special. Magic can do what he wanted to do because he was still 6'10", 6'9", and he could see the floor above everybody else. Steph's an average-sized guy for all intents and purposes, lower than average when it comes to the NBA game, and he's created something that is special that we all can identify with. And that's why we're watching this man do what he does and saying, wow, because it is special.
I think that's a good point, too. And also, the game has become positionless.
Yeah.
So now, you got Embiid, shooting three-pointers, like he's a two-guard.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now, like you said, the game has opened up where you got bigs on the perimeter, you know, so it's really positionless now. And like you said, LeBron's bringing the ball up half the time, you know, doing what he do. So it's really, to that point, there's really no standard of a point guard and a two guard, a small forward, a power forward, a center. The game has totally changed. So, you know, it's much more open.
That's good. And
it's fun to watch.
And I think that opens up our talk that we're going to get into because I think it really just speaks to the mark of sustainability and also resilience. Because what Curry did was he found a way to make his play sustainable, where he's been great for years now at this point. He's been resilient. And we see resilience in all these games when he comes up. But we're seeing it's not just somebody who can shoot the ball, but it's someone who can do it under pressure, who can do it with two 7-footers on him. And he's hitting. It's the soundtrack of resilience is the way this man plays. And what I kind of want us to go to, we're gonna take a quick break, but I want us to hop into a subject around resilience and sustainability. How have we, as Black male leaders, found ways to be resilient, to have sustainable success in today's ecosystem, professionally, interrelationally, and otherwise?
I mean, I would start just having a criminal history, lived experiences, and navigating city government. Because I'm first generation in this, because I don't have any family members who was able to pull me up, it really took sheer audacity for me. I took advantage of a workforce development program about 6.5 years ago, and really looked at it as my opportunity to really, not necessarily right my wrongs, but really have another opportunity to just be of service, right? I've served a lot of people, right? It's just not in the best context. But as I use my lived experiences to be able to help Black and brown boys and men is so much more fulfilling, right? So just making sure that, nobody's going to do it for us. We have to just show up and just lead with audacity.
For me, and he made a good point about not having that role model. I had a father in the house where it started for me that here's a guy that went to Vietnam and came home from Vietnam, and he tells the story of how he went in a bar down south and they wouldn't even serve him a drink. There he's wearing his uniform, served his country, and they said, we don't serve your kind of here. So his tenacity of being, he worked for the post office for 40 years. He's just a very hard worker. And he installed that in me, since day one. So for me, I was kind of the opposite of him. I saw what the household looked like, what a man should be doing, and how to be resilient in this world, and all the things that he told me. I always, listened, and sure enough, he'd always be right. At some point, sometimes you feel like maybe you're being a little hard, but you understand that being a Black man, that it's going to be 3 times harder for you than anybody else, and that you're going to have to overcome and keep pushing and put yourself around the right people, and also never forget to bring your brother up as well, which is very important. So that's always been a key for me. But I would say my father really was the root of me growing into the person I am today. And still got work to do.
I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what both of y'all saying. It really resonated with me. I grew up with my dad. I grew up with a father in the household, but my dad was working. He was working a lot. Union job, typical overtime. He had 5 kids. We went to private school, so he was at work. So when it came time for me to go to college, his knowledge, and even my mother's, was limited. I had got to their threshold once I graduated high school, so I joined a fraternity, and then after that, I always had some sort of mentorship or something. Like when I had my first child, we went to couples therapy, not because we were in strife, but because I knew something was coming up that I wasn't prepared for. So I always try to have someone wiser than me speaking to me about something. Even if it's not your parents, you got to learn how to reach outside of you. But to me, that's how I'll be able to sustain, and grow past. I don't want to say past what my parents have done, but grow differently in a different direction than they were. But I really,
I would say, just piggybacking off the brothers, man, just turning your pain into purpose. So growing up in a household I was raised, my father was a veteran, and I remember him coming home from the service, and my grandma saying that your father said he experienced doing every drug in the world while he was away serving. So just him being drawn away from the family, struggling with that addiction, and me just having being raised by a village. And I'm grateful to say I was raised by a village, my grandmother, community members, aunts, uncles, family members. So me, myself, years later becoming a law enforcement professional, being called out into the schools to go speak to the young men, to prevent them from going out on a path, that can deter their life. I look at that as a call to service and an honorable duty. And also just volunteering my time to be there as a mentor in my community to help at-risk youth. So just turning that pain into purpose, and just carrying the baton for the next generation, and just carrying it, man, just, to reach your highest potential in the community.
I think a lot of that, and, which I agree with everyone, is the fact that accountability. Having somebody, like you said, someone older or wiser for that accountability, but then again, having that accountability for somebody that you can mentor. You know, we were talking earlier with Dave about, you know, those surreal moments. You know, we're creating history. Like, we are actually creating history right now.
Yeah.
You know, and everything that we create is a surreal moment because of something that we thought we couldn't do. So we have that resilience, we have that accountability, and the only thing we want to do is set a path for others to follow.
Absolutely.
I would say for me, it's coming to a realization of my value and my worth, right? And then also understanding that they're two different things, right? A lot of times we'll hear value and worth as if there's something different, but our value is what we can bring to the table, and our worth is what we already done, right? So when we have a realization of what that is, so when opposition comes, I know, like for me personally, when opposition comes, somebody's coming against me or somebody's trying to demean my name, whatever, it's really remembering what can I do and what have I done. And that's the part that kind of keeps me focused and saying, cool, you go ahead and play over there in the pig spin and do whatever. I'm going to focus because I can't allow you to hinder where I'm going.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Beautiful.
And I would say for just to kind of piggyback off what everybody said, is for me, I think what helps me stay sustainable is just responsibility. Just recognizing that no matter what happens, no matter who did what, who said what, I'm ultimately responsible for my results. And so just having a deep-rooted understanding that I'm responsible for my results no matter what, that's what really truly helps me stay sustainable, stay grounded, and not let the little things, just not really sweating the small stuff, just understanding that, again, I'm responsible. My decisions are going to determine my outcomes, and ultimately, no matter what happens, I'm responsible for those outcomes.
Right. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say I love that because, we as black men at times can easily shift the blame to somebody else. I heard one of us make the comment that, we're going to have to work 3 times as hard, and that's an absolute truth. There's no getting around it. But it doesn't change the fact that we are responsible, all right?
Correct.
We got to hold ourselves accountable to the decisions that we make and the people that we have around us and, the directions that we're going. So, just conversations like this and meeting men like you, it tells me that I'm on the right path, right? Because these are decisions that I've made, and it's leading to certain points in my life. So those things are the very same thing. Keeping those things right in front of me is like, no matter what happens, I've made this decision. I've made the decision to have the people around me. I made the decision to have the meeting with you. I made the decision to have these things happen because of good decisions that are being made. So accepting that responsibility and holding yourself accountable to it is part of the reason why I've been able to have been resilient and sustainable over the years.
Yeah. I really love the language that I'm hearing, and one of the foundational principles that I'm extracting from this is like the power of community support.
Absolutely.
And the fact that community support looks different for everybody, but you still find a way to be connected to some type of support, whether it's a memory of what you've already experienced, or one of the things that I found is that sometimes in the absence of mentors is that you're mentored from afar, where there's somebody who you might look up to that don't even know that you look up to them, but you seeing how they run their plays and I like the way they do that, I'm about to take that, you know? And in navigating this, I kind of want to hear, we'll start here, just when you're talking about community support, mentorship, how important are leaders to the movement of inspiring men to see, to imagine, and to become better?
When I first took my job, man, I made it very clear. I stood on the shoulders of black women, not black men, because black men were not present when I grew up. It was my grandmother and my mother and my sisters and Miss Mary who sat at the corner of the house and gave me, lemonade, when it was hot, and kind of, had conversations with me. And I think it's important, man, to kind of have, mentors and black men who are role models, like, accessible to our communities. You get what I'm saying? And growing up, without a dad, I tell folks all the time, like, what changed my life was someone put me being a line leader. Because, like, everybody just wanted to, like, discipline me so much. They wanted to put me in either specially gifted, but the other special gifted, I don't want to say that word, detention, and it took this woman who said, well, let's just turn his life around. Let's make him a line leader. And when I became a line leader, bro, it's just like no one stepped out of my line. Like I took that position seriously.
Let me hop in. So just because I don't know what a line leader is,
okay,
I'm sure there's other people in the audience that may not know either. So tell us a little bit about that.
So line leader, between first and third grade, if you're, the teacher will pick a person to lead the line.
Okay.
And, that line leader will be responsible from one class lining up to the next class, and you get your little cookies and candies and all that. But, I didn't know how big of an influence that actually had on me, because that actually got me on the path to, where I'm at. And when I served as the president and vice president of citywide student government in Philly, I went to something in Harrisburg, and I met this guy by the name of Richard Ross, and he was a former police commissioner. And he had all these shiny buttons and all that. And I didn't even worry about the buttons. I just saw this black man in a shiny suit. I'm just like, that ain't no regular police suit. So I walked up and I said, I like your suit, man. I'm such and such. And we started talking, and he gave me his business card. And from that day, bro, you can't separate me and Richard Ross, bro. He helped me buy my first suit. He bought my first over jacket, bro. He got me on my first piece of trouble when I first turned 18 years old. But he wasn't my father, but that male figure, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like ignited me to understand that black boys do need some type of male mentors in their life. Even if it's not their father, it's up to our community members to really step up. That's kind of what I've kind of taken from this, is really making sure that everybody don't have to have a father, but if black men are around, we just have to be more accessible to these young boys.
Absolutely. And may I?
Absolutely.
No, I want to second that. I mean, I did grow up in a household. I did have a father, great man, taught me a lot. He was a hard worker. But I do remember, I grew up in Oklahoma, which is a very different scenario. You don't see as many black people as you see here. So I do remember growing up and not seeing strong black figures like I do here. And I never forget when I moved to Philadelphia. I was.
So you got to say what city in Oklahoma.
I grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You got to drop that.
Something different.
And believe it or not, nothing about the atrocities that happened in that city from a historical standpoint to black folks, but didn't learn about it till I moved here. But the thing is that once you get to a city like this and you start to see black men, I never forget. I had an interview here, and I was walking down the street. And I think it was 18th and Market. I never forget, I saw this white mayonnaise-colored Bentley pull up in the garage. And I saw this white kid get out, walk around the corner, and threw the keys to this dark-skinned, bald-headed black man looked just like me. I'm like, wow. It just the sight, the exposure to that changed my life. And I said, I'm moving to Philadelphia, and I'm going to open up a business here one day. And I did. And that I never met him, but it was just the exposure. And just to add to that, one of the things I did have the privilege of doing was starting a nonprofit here called Emerge Philadelphia. We ran it out of the DA's office, and I did it for 3 years, and then I resigned. But one of the things that I learned is that just being available and accessible to those young black men from all over the city, we brought them together, changed some of their lives. I had one kid, name was Rasan, and he came up to me. His brother had been convicted on possession of an AK-47, and I never forget, we was down at the Academy of the Arts, Pennsylvania Academy of the Arts, and he's like, Mr. John, he said, if my brother got convicted for possession of an AK-47, does that mean I'm going to get convicted? And you think about that. He's 12 years old, and he's already thinking that he's going to fall into the same pattern. And I'm like, no, don't even think like that. You have a choice. You have a choice. And when you believe that years later, I ran into this kid, I'm at a Phillies game, he's working, he's in college. He's like, he called me out of the crowd. Didn't even recognize him because he's an adult now.
Yeah.
But just the exposure to men, you said it, you got exposed to them. And sometimes just seeing that can change a young black man's life. Yeah.
I'm gonna hop in. I know there's probably somebody else bubbling up, but you just sparked something for me that I want to kind of highlight, and it's the power of choice.
Yeah.
The power of choice, and oftentimes we live as a victim of our circumstances. We say, this is what I'm dealt with. These are the cards I've been dealt. I'm doing what I just got to do. And there's actually a number that you can Google of how many choices you get in a day. And the number is like crazy. It's like 35,000.
Somebody Google it.
Yeah, it's like 35,000. Somebody Google it real quick. I want to make sure my number's right.
It might be more.
I think it's like 35,000 or 45,000, something like that. But I can say this, that I know that in a month, you have 1 million choices. And in a year, you have, I think it's just because the way the numbers play out, it's like 12,995,000. Don't ask me why I know this. But this is how many choices we have. And if we're the product and the outcomes of our choices, to your point, then the reality is that our existence, once you get to the point of agency, right? We're not talking about, you know, the child who is still at the whim of whoever, the guardians, the parents, the community environment that they've been relegated to. But when you get to the point of being able to make your own decisions, what choices have you made from that point of a personal accountability? Somebody else spoke about accountability till now, that you can say my life is the product and the outcome of the choices that I've made. And the reality is that when you tap into the value of that power of choice, you're a millionaire.
Yeah.
And you didn't even know it.
Yeah.
Because what did you do with the 45? Did somebody check it? Did somebody Google it?
33 to 35,000.
35,000. So what did I do with my 35,000 yesterday? Did I blow it? Did I spend it well? What were the outcomes of my 100K from last month? You know, my million from this month. What are my plans for it? If I had $1 million, I'd have a plan.
Yeah.
It's going to be spent a certain kind of a way, right? So my question I'm going to pass off to you guys is, at what point, and I'll even start off with my personal choice that made a difference. I was working up in North Jersey, and I was in my early 20s. And I had a job working for, always was a strong academic, but I didn't accept education as my pathway because I thought you couldn't be successfully with money. I thought I'd be broke if I went into education, but I always been an academic mind. And I was working for the FedEx airport as a load captain who would make sure like the weight was right for the planes, and you drove the big machines up to like the Airbuses and stuff like that. Real weird that I was doing this, but I did that at nighttime. And in the daytime, I was driving for New Jersey Transit. And I was young, but they needed bus drivers because Newark was so off the hook that they couldn't get people to drive the buses through the worst parts of town. And for me being from the hood, I'm like, oh, this is sweet. I could drive a bus in the day. I could work at the airport at night. I got 2 pension jobs with good benefits. I am sweet. But I saw my colleagues were 20, 30 years my senior, and they were hyped because they were making $5 more than me. Hey, young buck, when you get to that $25 an hour, then come talk to me. And I'm like, but you 60 years old and I'm 20. Is this the only range of increase that I'm looking for? And back in the day, let's not sleep. $18 was a lot of money in the year 2001. You know what I'm saying? So now, of course, things have changed. But if I didn't make the decision to move to South Jersey in pursuit of continuing education, I wouldn't be here right now. I don't know what outcomes I would have done, but that choice, that individual choice, set my life on a trajectory where I've come into contact with each and every one of you guys who are doing phenomenal work. But if there's a couple of you that have like a moment where you can say, my choice changed the trajectory of my life, I'd love to hear it.
So I can speak to that. Post-high school graduation, I went to a 2-year program to play football to get me ready for the collegiate level. So I was coming off an injury in my high school football senior year, and I decided to leave the program so I can go start going to the workforce. So at the time, I went back to the neighborhood. Most of my peers were on the block, you know, hustling and things like that. So I had a choice whether I was going to start hustling on the block or whatever, or go into the workforce, go to the city or whatever. So I took a position working at the airport. I know you was talking about local FedEx, so I went out to American Airlines, which was formerly U.S. Airways before they merged, and took a position there. That changed the trajectory of my life, because doing that at a young man about 19 to 20 years old, it put me in a position to have the benefits and working and things of that nature, and being able to see the world. And we were talking about exposure, so along with that position, I got flying benefits to, you know, take trips to Florida, Miami, and things like that, get out of the city of Philadelphia. So if I never made that decision to continue to apply myself for employment, I probably nowhere I would be right now, you know, because a lot of my peers, you know, got caught up in the criminal justice system. So I thank God for having a sound mind to be able to keep exploring, keep on looking as a young black man, you know, for employment, and doors are open for me, and I continue to excel. And took a position with the city of Philadelphia a few years after that, and continue to climb the ladder of success. And now I'm in rooms with like-minded brothers who we share common values with, and continue to serve my community, whether it's serving on boards and committees and things like that, and just speaking at conferences alongside fellow brothers here. So just my message to the youth, mentorship is very important. If I didn't see my cousins and family members who were firemen, who were sheriffs and things like that, outside of my neighborhood, I wouldn't know that I can be in those positions and in those spaces. So mentorship and exposure is everything for young black males.
Yeah, that's good. I was just gonna say, choice is such a catalyst, and it always leads to bigger choices and more choices and expanded vision. For me, real short, my brother and I he was working as an engineer, I was working as a teacher for years. We were lifelong musicians, but we never thought it was responsible to do it full time. It was a thing on the side. We both got laid off at the same time, saw it as kind of confirmation to go and really jump into our business venture. 3 years later, we were acquired by a tech company. Then we're in music tech. And I'm talking to people who have software and engineering degrees and they know code. I don't know any of it, but I'm a person who built a business, and they're talking to me every day about how we can build this thing. So it's just a beautiful thing when you look back at a choice to just try things. Don't have the analysis by paralysis saying you have to figure it all out in one choice. Just take one step forward, and the vision keeps expanding with every choice. And when I look back on my life, I'm just like, wow, I really stepped out, trusted something, and then a whole new pathway kind of expanded just from one choice. Yeah. And then more choices keep coming, and then you have the expanded vision of, you're thinking about other folks. We talked about community earlier, and it's being a business owner is hard, but there's a different level of accountability because you have people who are depending on you to have a bigger vision, than they would have right now, with what they're doing with you. So yeah, I'm just bubbling at the fact that was just such a great piece to really pull from that, and choice.
Yeah, I'll say, and I'll be quick. Back to accountability, and having that person holding you accountable, that mentor. My sophomore year in college, I was screwing up, having a great time, not really taking my academics seriously. And I remember coming home and my dad telling me I was a disappointment and what was I going to be, a bum. And basically was like, you on your own with school? I think I was around 19, 20. Either go in the military or you on your own in school. And because at that point he had finance. I went to private school all my life. He paid for me to go to college. And when he said disappointment, that resonated with me. When he said I was a disappointment to him, I'm like, oh, I gotta turn this around. Mm-hmm. And I made that choice to go back to school. I had to take out loans, but I didn't want to disappoint him to that whole accountability point that he held over me. And so that changed my trajectory. Just those words from him, because I had so much respect for him, that it made me take that choice of doing the right thing and finishing up school and keeping that in the back of my mind that, there's people that invested in me, and now I have to make that investment work and give back to others as well. So.
Yeah. I think too, when we start talking about choices, one thing that actually stands out is the choice to open my mouth and ask questions. Because in any, whether it's accountability, whether opportunity, our voices matter. We can't be silent on what we feel. We can't be silent on, trying to go for an opportunity. You got to ask questions, and that way you get the knowledge and wisdom. Now we understand even in networking, it's about the power of communication. So when I think about the choices, I think about the ability for me not to remain silent, but to ask questions.
I want to hop in here because I actually want to field it and pass it to you, Dr. Vance. When we talk about resources and support, this being a student support initiative through an institution, one of the biggest struggles and fights that anybody who has proximity to supporting populations have is that all too often, our black men, our black boys do not go to where the supports are present. They say, I got to do it by any means necessary on my own. They wear that as a badge of honor. Even if the outcomes aren't great, at least I did it on my own. Like, that's what they kind of wear as like their crucible that they stand on. And Dr. Vance, I know you're working on a book on regarding mentorship and the power of that. And I'm sorry to kind of leak that because I didn't tell you I was going to spotlight, but I'm with you being a specialist in this area, heavily researched in this field. I think you'll be able to give some good context as to the power of mentorship, but not from the side of the mentor, but the mentee being able to receive and pursue the mentorship that they need. What thoughts do you have?
No, I think that's what you said is very important because I think that's something that's underrated. I think that when we say we want mentorship, I think that sometimes us as mentees or people that are seeking mentorship, we don't feel like we're as responsible in terms of making that relationship work. When in reality, as somebody who says that I want to be mentored, you have to make sure that whoever that person is that you are pursuing or that you're looking to seek mentorship from, you have to make sure that relationship is mutual. You have to make sure that you're adding value in some capacity as well. So whether that is something physical like taking them out to lunch, or whether that is maybe over the course of a conversation, you're sparking some sort of point that's kind of making a light bulb go off with your mentor. But you gotta do whatever you need to do to make and really just look in and just kind of what are your mentor's interests? Like just kind of noticing little things to just make that mentorship valuable because you don't want, now granted, there are some situations where mentorship might be for a specific season where you might have a couple months and then you get going.
Right.
But there's also situations where I have some mentors, they're like lifelong mentors where I have some mentors, like literally, like one of my mentors, Dr. Driggers, he's actually one of the people who inspired me to even want to get a doctorate. And that he's been a person who's been in my life since I was in high school, like on a college tour. So when he asks me to do things, I show up for him. So then as a result, when I need him to do something for me, he always shows up for me. Yeah. So it's just really keeping in the back of their mind, just making sure that it's a give and take and making sure that mentorship relationship is valuable for both parties.
As I'm engaged with a lot of these black boys, they say the word mentor, but a lot of them need life coaches because their dad is not there educating them and engaging them on how to dress or how to do this or how to do that. What's the difference between mentorship and life coaching?
Well, I would say even from, you need mentors, life coaching, and sometimes you need therapy. Because some things, honestly, there's so many things that, especially like I had my dad, so I can't really speak to that experience of growing up without a father, but in terms of like surrounding yourself with individuals, sometimes there's there's trauma that you've incurred and you don't even realize it. Like the trauma is subconscious to the point where it's something that might not be normal that's been essentially normalized in your life. So what I would say is there is overlap because you could definitely get like life coaching from a mentor. I would say that the biggest difference is probably a life coach. I would say helps you navigate where you're going to go in the future. Whereas a mentor is somebody that you could kind of sit down and have like more of I guess a life coach is more somebody who has a process, they have experience, and they're able to say, like, this is the process you'll go through. Whereas a mentor is somebody where it's a little bit more of a personable relationship where it's kind of a give and take and discuss based on what your actual experiences are. So I would say that's probably the biggest difference, I would say. But there's certainly overlap where you might, as a result of your mentorship relationship, what you needed, because ultimately you determine what you need to get out of a relationship. So if life coaching is what you needed, he still was your mentor, but he just gave you what you needed.
See, I appreciate you saying this because, like, me as a person who is constantly leading men, leading in position to lead boys and communities, I've always had this saying that's aligned with that thought. And I would say, and you educated me in a new direction, I say I don't mentor men, I mentor boys, but I'll coach a man. And I always looked at it from the accountability standpoint because typically a mentor, to your point, you can kind of be in the space of a man that's a mentor, but you don't necessarily have to evolve with this person as your mentor. As a person who has limited time, I'm not gonna mentor a grown man and him not move in a certain direction. Like but I'll coach you now.
Exactly.
I'll tell you to play, and I'll say, hey, watch out for this, watch out for that. And if you can't handle me as a coach, then we'll just be brothers. No love lost, that kind of a thing. But I appreciate that perspective of just like angling how the two kind of intersect. I think I saw you had something.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna bring out from my perspective. I always think about a mentor as somebody who's probably has success in a space that you want to be a part of, and that you talk to that person and you say, hey, I want to achieve the same goals that you have achieved, or I want to get into this, I want to become a doctor, and you have a mentor. He's there to help you with that space. A life coach, in my opinion, it does kind of fall under the father figure for a lot of people. And it might be somebody, it could be, the preacher, it could be, the barbershop, the guy at the barbershop. It could be those guys that you come to often for just the challenges that you're facing in life, and they have that life experience where they can kind of deliver that or exchange on how they solve those problems. So mentorship to me is more focused on a specific space. And that's what I would think of it as. And I do agree though. Coaching, that's a bigger role in my opinion than a mentor.
Yeah.
I would say, like, in my opinion, the coaching, the life coaching, is the person that gives you the plan, and then the mentor is the person that walks the plan with you, right? So because you have to have someone that has the oversight or that vision that says, okay, this is your track, this is how you want to get there. But we all need that person who's going to walk with us to every step of the way, because we're going to receive hurdles, we're going to receive opposition. We talked about earlier, we're going to receive, like, things are just going to come up that we may not know how to navigate in that moment. Yeah. But that mentor is kind of there to help us navigate those moments.
Yeah, oftentimes, I think when we talk about mentorship, I think about one of the biggest assets in my life was my high school counselor, right? He actually, a white guy too. White guy. We just had dinner last year. I've known this guy for 15 plus years, right? And when I think about the role that he played in, because I still was in the streets, I still was undecided, right? But the role that he played within my life, I'm not really grasping it until now, right? It was never about race with him, right? It was about social economical status. Now, I couldn't always grasp that. It took for me to become an adult to make that choice to live a sustainable life, in a sense, leaving criminality alone. So I didn't grow up with a father, right? And I'm kind of almost glad, right? Because if you think about fathers in black families, depending on who that father is or how he is or what he's not, can determine who you are. Of course. Right? Yes. So I was fortunate enough to have a clean slate to kind of, now I might not got the been reprimanded when I needed to or got the support when I needed to, but I had a world to kind of guide into what the man that I want to become. Right? My peers who I thought were great men, they deemed themselves as men because they were married, right? Or other men because they had a business, right? Everybody measure manhood is totally different.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean? For everybody. So there's a lot of young men like myself who don't have a father who leans on the block or their peers or older gentlemen. And it's very hard to hold them accountable for why they do the things that they do because of those controlled environments. And like everybody said, we've all been exposed to something out of that immediate environment. That's what led us to this room right here. So that's the things that we have to continuously think about, not only mentoring, but exposure.
I think something I want to do, and I want to pass it out to anybody who feels hot on the press with this point, is I've heard it a couple times where your support doesn't always look like you. You know, the person that has been a bridge, that has been an amplifier of what's in you, can sometimes be a woman, sometimes be of a different race. And there's been so many times in my life where supports, the people who have poured the most of the right stuff in me, didn't look like me. And I've had to stand on their shoulders as a man and find and redefine what masculinity looks like for me through the lens of folks who don't project masculinity as their primary social status or position. So how do we as men lean into the resources that are not like us, that don't look like us? How have we done this? But I also want to say, on the other side of this, how do we amplify allyship from folks who say, I can't help, I can't be a resource because I'm a white male, because I'm a black female, because I'm an Asian woman. I can't be an asset to this society or this culture or these humans that I love because I don't match their gender identity.
Well, I think you made a good point about going back to the mentor. Mentor really doesn't look a certain way. He made a good point that it's, you want to get into a certain space, and that person can help you get into that space with the knowledge, if they're willing to share that. And that doesn't look black, white, Asian, whatever it may be. You know, you find yourself trying to get to that particular profession, and you see those people there, if they're open to, like you said, your counselor, same thing. It doesn't really have a look. It's just about their knowledge that they can share with you and give you an overview on what to expect. Now, back to the life coach thing, again, I think sometimes you kind of need somebody who's been in your particular shoes at some point to kind of guide you through life expectancies of saying, you know, you're gonna have to work 3 times as harder. At some point in your life, you're gonna occur this adversity of something that happens. And you know, somebody who may not look like us may not experience those type of things, that the adversity that's gonna come. So I think that's, you know, 2 separate things. I agree with you guys on that point. But yeah, I think that just really, I think it comes naturally, really. I'll tell you 2 examples really quick. One mentor I have, Kenyatta Johnson, who's council president, and we met because I was trying to get into the political space. And I met him at a networking event, and he just took me in. Like, that's the kind of guy he is. He'll give everybody his cell phone number. But anyway, we've developed a relationship over the years, and now I'm his treasurer. And he always goes back to saying how something I said to him kind of changed the way he did political fundraising, in which I didn't. You know, I'm looking at him like, you know, I'm trying to run after you, and I'm getting things from you. So, you know, to his point, he was in a space, and that happened. My current role now, I report to Tom Nerney, who's the CEO of USLI Insurance. I work for his foundation. And I'm in a space now where I'm reporting to a CEO who's been a CEO of a Berkshire company for the last 20 years. And he's a white, older man that he doesn't even realize, but I pick up stuff from him that I've learned over just in this short period of time of a year. So just tapping in, and when something's available to you, you have to take full advantage of it, because how many times can you really sit down with a CEO who ran a large corporation every day and get those nuggets? And with him not even really realizing what he's given to me, but in a sense, he's really mentoring me.
And because it's a public information, when you say big CEO, like how big is this company? Just for perspective.
Perspective, he reports to Warren Buffett. So
Yeah,
US
it's a versatile. It's a
is a probably,
It's a
I
big
don't know how
company.
many employees that we have. I would say probably at least 20,000, maybe.
Right. Because our audience needs to hear that.
Yeah,
When you say big
I-
CEO,
Don't write me on that, but anyway, it's a large corporation.
yeah.
absolutely.
Again, he's probably picked up knowledge from Warren,
Yeah.
and vice versa for me, picking up knowledge from him. And I'm taking full advantage of it, and he don't even know it, but that's happened. So
That's so huge because there's really this intersection, right, of value where just because of you being open to mentorship, you're in a chain of command, a chain of leadership, a chain of thought leadership that connects you to people away from Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
You know, and that's something that we don't always know when you connect with someone who they're connected to.
Yeah.
How those connections can intersect and create value and bridges, but that you don't show up saying what I need. You show up showing who I am. Like you said before, you know, my value, what is my worth? What am I bringing, adding to the table versus coming as someone who has a need? And we're going to begin to land the plane here because our time is going by so fast. And this is just speaking to how much we need to do this again and again and again. And I believe that there's a lot of folks, I think eventually we'll be able to have a live audience where folks will be able to ask questions to folks from their different sectors of expertise, as this is such a well-rounded group that we have here today. But I kind of want us to talk about our vision for the future. In our roles, we have so many different things where we have to function as visionaries. But oftentimes, a lot of us don't have the agency to be able to live our own vision. What would you say would be one key that you would give any person that's listening to this podcast today to be able to activate the vision and be able to see vision for their own life?
Share audacity for me. You just have to.
Say that again?
Share audacity.
Say that one more time.
Share audacity.
That felt good.
Larry David and Jay-Z had commonalities. Sheer audacity, right? And I think about that because nobody's coming to save us, right? Or nobody's coming to save you guys. So you have to take that initiative to just do it. Let's just start there. Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
I've been thinking about it a lot. Expanded vision comes from it being outward focused, not just internal. Like, I mean, yeah, we have to like own ourselves, be responsible, have agency, but outward focus. Are you helping others? Are you solving a problem? That's usually where a successful business comes from. Serve. Be willing to show up and help.
I would say overcoming fear, right? Do it scared. You know, the acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. So a lot of times when we can get past that portion of it, and we just do it scared, no matter what, things will fall in line. Like, you have to believe that the vision you have is really the vision that you really have. Like it's there for a reason. If you really believe in yourself, it's so much more you can accomplish if you just get past that first element of fear.
I don't piggyback off of him. If you're trying to find your vision, I would say you probably already know it. You probably already know what it is that you should be doing, what you could be doing, what you're capable of doing, but you probably are a little bit insecure. Probably there's one thing about you, one thing off about you that leads you to not believe. And I'm a man of faith. I'm a Christian. I'm not shy about that. And I'll just share this. One thing I always think about is Moses told God, "No, I can't do this. I can't talk. I don't speak well." And God still made it happen. And it still happened for Moses. And Moses is someone, whether you're Jewish, Christian, Muslim, we talk about Moses. So that's my inspiration. Whenever I feel fear or see where I think I neglect or think I'm in a deficit, I think about Moses.
I would say just show up and serve. Show up and serve. Your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. So just getting in those rooms, serving, opportunities going to present themselves, and just be authentic and stay true to yourself and remain true to your roots and opportunities, and just continue to network, serve, volunteer. Opportunities are going to open up. You'll be surprised who you meet and what doors open up for you.
I would say account for the details and don't negate the small beginnings.
I would say that your vision ultimately is going to start with a decision. You have to make a decision. If you have a vision that's trapped inside of you, you have to make a decision to release it to the world. And if when you don't make a decision, that's also a decision.
I was just gonna say, hold yourself accountable, write it down. Whatever it is that you're deciding to do, write it down. I can't tell you how many times I tell people, man, when I decided to get this business going, I wrote it all out. And I still have that piece of paper. I hold on to everything I write down because all of it plays a part into the bigger vision. So don't hold yourself accountable, write it down, and go back and review it and say, oh, I missed this, and go and do it.
And just piggybacking off that point, when you write it down, put it somewhere where you can see it.
Yeah, on top of that.
I would end with a scripture that keeps me, be not deceived, for God is not mocked. Whatever man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you don't sow nothing, you won't reap anything.
I would say, just listening to everybody in the room, find something that you love professionally. Find something that you love to do, and it doesn't seem like work, and pour everything into it, and you'll be successful. 'Cause it sounds like everybody in the room loves what they're doing. And then on a personal level, non-professional, I would just say, live for others. And treat people the way you would want to be treated.
Absolutely.
I guess leave mine, which y'all set the stage in such a full way. I feel like it's kind of like when somebody's already spoken, like, do we need somebody else? But at the end of the day, I have to just be honest and transparent that my journey requires my vision to always be in front of me to the point of writing it down. But I've learned, and this is from a brother named C.T. Fletcher, I have to be magnificently obsessed about the vision that's in front of me. And one of the ways that I navigate that is really not being interested in other people's vision. So a byproduct is I'm not really on social media. I'm not really big on TV. I'm not submerging myself with other people's visions because I'm so obsessed about mine. I got work to do. I don't got time to see what other people are doing, what other folks have going on. But in my obsession about what I have to do, there's also other lanes that I have to go down that I may not want to. So it becomes easier because I go crazy when I'm not in purpose because I'm obsessed by it. And I think that if we couple everything that everyone has said here today, I think you have the beginnings of, I don't know if anybody remembers Encyclopedia Britannica, but I feel like we would have a wall of just knowledge that we could really couple and probably market. I don't know. I don't know if that's another business idea. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I definitely want us to be aware that this moment that we're in right now is not one that's finalizing. It's one of perpetuity. It's one where great things are going to continue to come and emerge. And I'm really looking forward to what's going to come out of the different offices that are in this space, the personnel that's in the room. But more important than what you do is the man behind the plan. Just the humans that are in this space. You have value before you've done anything. One of the sayings that we have in the center is that a man belongs before he performs. So just because you showed up today, you have value. We even have a brother in the room who showed up. Y'all can't see him on camera, but he came with his son and said, hey, I just want to be in the room to support. And that's what manhood does. We show up, we support, and we represent full force, whether we can do everything we intended to or not. So I'm going to close it out the way I close out every Center for Male Engagement event. And it's when you reach a man, you reach a family. When you reach the family, you touch the community. When you touch the community, you can impact the city. And when you impact the city, you can change the world. Until next time, peace.